Hi, Eric. I'm going to give people a couple minutes just to see if there's anybody else that's going to join us.
Okay.
Okay, at 6:02, I'm going to call this public hearing to order. Tonight's hearing is regarding getting input regarding the petition warrant articles which will appear on this year's ballot. What I will do is I will read petition warrant article 1 into the record, and then I will accept testimony in favor and oppose. I will repeat that process if needed. So petition warrant article 1 states, shall we direct the Brookline School Board to convene a study committee investigating the feasibility and sustainability of expanding responsibility of the Brookline School District to grades K through 8, with the committee consisting of a school board member, a select board member, finance or budget committee member, and 2 members of the public, reporting findings by November 3rd, 2021. That is the petition warrant article that was submitted. That is the article that will appear on the ballot. Do I have any testimony in favor of that article?
Yes, this is Eric Power, 12 Westview Road in Brookline. I'd like to speak in favor of it.
Absolutely, Eric.
Can I share screen and show something?
Gina, can you give him that ability?
It looks like I can do it. It gave me the ability to do it.
Okay. We'll
So
see how it goes.
Can you see it?
Yes, we can.
I'll try to put it in presentation mode. Okay.
Right, done.
Very good. So this is a proposed study to look at expanding the Brookline School District to grades K through 8. It's a citizen warrant article by Brookline voters. And today is January 26, 2021. So this is the citizen warrant article. Shall we direct the Brookline School Board to convene a study committee investigating the feasibility and suitability of expanding the responsibility of the Brookline School District to grades K to 8, with the committee consisting of a school board member, select board member, finance or budget committee member, or 2 members of the public to report findings by November 3rd, 2021. The study proposal, just for background, is it's geared at looking at reconfiguring how we do the grades. So currently, the Brookline School District covers grades K to 6, with Richard Mahaki Memorial School doing K to 3, and Captain Samuel Douglas Academy having grades 4 to 6. And the Hollis Brookline Cooperative School District covers grades 7 to 12, with the middle school doing grades 7 and 8, and the high school doing grades 9 to 12. So the proposal is to study the possibility of moving grades 8 and 9 to the Brookline School District, so that the Brookline School District will be K to 8, and the Hollis Brookline Cooperative School District would be 9 to 12. And there's many considerations and opportunities why this is something that should be studied. The current middle school facility is actually 68 years old. It was actually built in 1953, and I've seen several additions over the year. It was added on in 1961 and 1982. There was a renovation in 1993. There was a maintenance upgrade in 2003, and then there was a renovation, big renovation in 2005. And we're experiencing some challenges that are associated with a 68-year-old building in terms of updates. If you look at our capital improvement plan that has the co-op addition in it, the one that was just published for 2021 to 2026, there's about $1.2 million just for the middle school and facility improvements over the next 5 years, including things like asbestos abatement, asbestos tile removal, fire panel replacement, elevator replacement, HVAC maintenance, water system study, and an energy efficiency study. So the other thing to mention about this building is that it was designed more configured as a high school, not as a middle school. So it doesn't really have the pod design that's really ideal for team structures. And it's the thing that an expansion at CSDA or a new school would allow an ideal pod design for middle school team teaching, and would also provide highly effective and highly efficient HVAC systems that could be energy efficient and also effective at combating viruses like we have going on now. So I'd like to mention that, the other thing you can look at is the operating cost savings. It's estimated about $532,000 a year. If you look at what Hollis versus Brookline spends in the elementary grades, Brookline is a little over $17,000 a year, and Hollis is a little over $20,000 a year, and the co-op's just over $20,000 a year as well. So if you look at about the $2,900 savings per student between the co-op and Brookline by bringing the students into Brookline, and you multiply that over the 182 students we're expecting next year, we're seeing about $532,000 a year in operating cost savings. So just to give you a ballpark, if you were actually to spend about $20 million at the current interest rate of about 1.5 is sort of a figure where interest rates are now, that 20-year bond would cost about $309,000 a year. So that, even to build a new school and using $20 million, you'd still be ahead. The other opportunity is to look at a streamlined Brookline-only SAU. Our current SAU has got a $2 million budget. It's doubled since 2007. We have multiple assistant superintendents and a superintendent, so there might be a way to configure that, because we basically have a lot of people consolidated there. There might be some savings in doing that. And you could look at housing the SAU office potentially at the expanded school. I know Milford has their SAU actually at their high school, so we could look at something like that potentially as an opportunity in this study. Another consideration is that if you look at the recently presented test scores between Brookline and Hollis, Brookline has similar test scores in the English area and slightly better test scores in the math area if you average the grades 3 through 6 together. And I got a graph coming up showing that. So I think it's going to be either the same or better by being in Brookline, potentially. The next thing is busing. The 7th and 8th graders would obviously have shorter travel times. They would be staying in Brookline, so it would be less time in general than going all the way to Hollis. And it would reduce some costs. So it would have to be quantified. And I always, I had kids that went through this school system, and I always didn't feel 100% comfortable sending my 11 to 13-year-old all the way over to Hollis. I would have preferred for them to stay in Brookline until they were in 9th grade as a parent. The other thing I looked at that citizens were concerned about was the NESDEC projections. So you look at the NESDEC projections that have been released, the last ones we just received in 2020. Brookline is going to see a 51% increase in our 7th and 8th graders in the next 8 years. And at the same time, Hollis is going to see a 41% increase in their K through 6 grades by the same year, FY29. So this study would actually look at helping Hollis as well. So if Brookline moved out of the Hollis Brookline Middle School, Hollis is going to need some space with that size of increase between their Hughes and Hollis Primary School. So the one option Hollis could look at would be making that a 6th through 8th grade school, or possibly even a 5th through 8. There's a couple things we'd have to look at there, but certainly they're going to have a facility need, and this could be part of the solution for that community. And here's actually from the past, when we looked at a pod design back around 2005, 2004, just an example of what a pod looks like, where you have the science classroom, and then you have your other classrooms for English and math and history, all in one pod with a resource room. And then you have your specials that are sort of available down the hallway. So this is actually an optimal design that's been shown to work very well for middle school education. And you could actually build this so you have good daylight, which has been proven to help educational outcomes. And also you could use high efficiency and effective HVAC for savings in health. This is the graph of the recently provided information on test results. So it averaged over the last, from 2016 to 2019, it averaged grades 3 through 6. And it's the percentage of students proficient or above. And you can see that Hollis and Brookline in the English area are very, very similar. Sometimes Brookline's slightly higher, sometimes Hollis is very slightly higher, but it's very close. When you look at the math, after 2017, Brookline has performed a little bit better. I mean, each of these bars is a 10% difference. So there is, I would say, a slightly higher performance that's been achieved by the Brookline School District in K through in the 3 through 6, where the testing is actually done. Just so people are aware, the Hollis Brookline co-op is governed by the Articles of Agreement, which is sort of the constitution of the co-op. It has an Article 15 that was put in place to establish a fair process for an anticipated grade reduction. And it includes provisions for reimbursement to Brookline for its investment in equity in the Hollis Brookline Middle School building, including the big renovation that we paid for in 2005. So as part of this process, Brookline would receive some proceeds as a down payment that we could use to expand CSDA or even use towards a new school. So just to summarize, the advantages of a CSDA expansion new school versus the current aging middle school. There's a lot of opportunities to do the pod design and better HVAC, also being in Brookline. There's an operating savings opportunity of about $500,000 a year, which is not a small number, which could be looked at. There's also an opportunity potentially to have a streamlined Brookline SAU as the two communities grow with its own superintendent and probably a slightly smaller staff. We'd have to look at the details of that. Potentially improve student performance and outcomes. I think Brookline has shown some very good teaching and some very good results comparable to Hollis, and in some cases in the math area a little higher. So I think that's a plus of looking at this. With busing, our 7th and 8th graders would be lower cost and have shorter travel times. There's some information here in the projections that show that this sort of reconfiguration is congruent with what we're expecting for student population growth. And it would support both the needs of Brookline and Hollis for our elementary students up to grades 8th. So in conclusion, I believe there's ample evidence of need and opportunity to study this whole thing, because we have the start of some good ideas, but you have to run them to ground and understand what they mean and quantify them with a committee, and be able to basically take a proactive approach and validate the assumptions, develop plans, and evaluate options before the need is upon us. We do have a little bit of time, so it's good to take a year to take a look at these different options to see if it makes sense for the communities. It may not make sense, but I think it's worth study. So I would encourage everyone to vote yes on this article to support the study to expand the Brookline School District. It's a proactive planning approach for educating our children. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. Can I ask one favor? Could you email me the presentation so I can make sure it gets put in the minutes?
Yes, I will do that for you later tonight or tomorrow morning.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Okay.
At this time, I'll take any testimony in opposition. Seeing none at this time, I'm going to move to petition warrant article number 2. Again, I'll read the article and then I'll open the floor for testimony in favor. Petition warrant article 2. Shall we adopt the provisions of RSA 32:5 V-B, requiring that the annual budget and all special warrant articles having a tax impact as determined by the school board shall contain a notation stating the estimated tax impact of the article. The determination of the estimated tax impact shall be subject to approval by the governing body. At this time, I'll take testimony in favor.
I'd like to speak in favor of this article.
Go ahead, Eric.
Okay, thank you. This citizen warrant article is for including the tax impact in the warrant for the Brookline School District. And this is the warrant article that Superintendent just read. Shall we adopt the provisions of RSA 32:5 VB, requiring that the annual budget and all special warrant articles having a tax impact as determined by the school board shall contain a notation stating the estimated tax impact of the article. And it further says the determination of the estimated tax impact shall be subject to the approval of the governing body, submitted by petition. So this is actually the law for reference. Basically, this is the RSA 32:5 that talks about the ability of the legislative body to require this placed in the warrant. It's actually something that can be done, but doesn't have to be approved. But if this article is passed, it makes it obligatory that the tax impact is included in the warrant. And so just to give listeners and viewers an idea of what this looks like, here's this year's Article 2 for the Brookline School District. This is the operating budget. So what would appear on the ballot at the SB2 balloting session that we have would be what's in white. And if we had adopted this warrant article, it would have something similar to what's in yellow at the bottom. It would say the estimated FY22 tax impact, and it would give you the rate per thousand, so that people that are trying to understand how it would impact their taxes, they would be able to see that, and they would know their valuations. So they would know, oh, if I vote for this, this is how much it's going to cost me per thousand on my taxes. And so on every warrant article that has a tax impact, it would give you an idea how many dollars and cents it would be per thousand. And this number would be probably most likely computed by the finance committee. And I know Brookline's considering a budget committee this year. And if we have a budget committee, it would cover the Brookline School District, and the budget committee would provide that number. Ultimately, the school board would have the final say on what that number is to make sure it's accurate. So why would we want to do this tax impact? Well, it increases transparency by providing the estimated tax impact right in the warrant article, on the posted warrant, and also on the ballot during our SB2 balloting session. So like I said, the tax impact is estimated by the finance committee or a budget committee if we adopt one, and it gets approved by the school board as the governing body. Including that tax impact in the warrant, it really supports full disclosure in one place of the tax impacts for more informed citizen voting at a district meeting. So at the deliberative session, they would be able to see it. And if it gets adjusted, it would be adjusted and be available on the questions in the balloting session. So I think especially for SB2, because of the private voting, we have an all-day balloting, all-day ballot vote. It's important to have this available in the warrant so people see it on the ballot. So I'd like to say that I would support the enhanced transparency for the Brookline School District by supporting requiring notation of the tax impact in future Brookline School District warrants. Thank you very much.
Thank you again, Eric. And if you wouldn't mind doing the same thing and emailing me this tomorrow, that would be fantastic. And I can get them into Dawn to make sure they are included in the minutes.
I will do that. Appreciate the
Yeah.
opportunity.
You're welcome. Do I have any testimony in opposition to petition warrant Article 2? Seeing none, I'm going to close the discussion on petition warrant Article 2. And at this time at 6:21, there is no other business for this public hearing. So I will close the public hearing. I'd like to thank you for coming out tonight, Eric, and providing us this information, and we'll get that included in the minutes and posted. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Good night.